Avalanche Podcast. This is Rudo. I'm Rudo, right? You're AJ. That's how that works. We also have E joining us from the East Coast. Lots of news to get to today, including the Avs' new streaming service, as well as some other hockey news and some talk about positional options for the Avs in training camp. Is it still training camp? I guess it still counts as training camp. Yeah. Close enough.
We stopped calling it training camp, but training camp is like 3 weeks long.
Yeah. So it still counts. First bit of news. This will be very quick. Buffalo Sabres named Rasmus Dahlin captain. Cool.
It was a cool video. I liked it.
Neat.
Wrong guy.
You think?
Yep.
What guy should it have been?
Alex Tuck.
Nah.
Oh, I should have known.
I don't think he's a cat. I love Alex Tuck. I don't think he's a captain.
Yes.
Well,
Rasmus Dahlin ain't. Rasmus Dahlin is not either.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. It does feel like it's that we just gave our most hyped player the C, but that happens on like half of teams. So I don't know. Better to get named the C than be Drew Doughty and get hurt in preseason.
Oh, that was gross, man.
Yeah, it was not good. Did not look good.
Yeah, that still image where you're looking at his ankle just broken.
That thing is sideways.
Yeah, you're like, oh, bodies are not.
Well, you know,
for that.
You know right away. You can tell. You're just grabbing it, and it's like, okay, this is not right. You just feel bad. Last 2 years, he's played like pretty much 82 games the last 2 years. You know what I mean? I think he missed one game, so you feel for him. You feel bad for the LA Kings. You do, right? Because you want your pillars, your main guys, to be there, and unfortunately, it stinks for them. Hopefully, he comes back faster than expected.
I should have mentioned this since I knew we were going to do news first. But Tiff, do you have the sweet video from AJ ready? Turns out hockey's pretty cool in countries that don't play a lot of hockey. At very least
I
for
thought that was awesome.
the Kenyan hockey team. They officially got announced as part of the IIHF today, I should say. So, pretty cool moment in the global hockey sphere, I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, as my tweet says right there, this is what growing the game looks like. You know, that's how do you not feel heartwarmed about that and excited for them that it meant that much to them, and they're going to play in one of the lower divisions, so it's not like we're ever going to really have a chance to see it. But that's still amazing. We need more countries that want to show an interest in hockey, that want to get involved and have programs that lead into IIHF tournaments. And I just think it's amazing. Hockey is a global game, but it still feels extremely insular compared to some of the other games. You look at basketball and its international presence in the way that it truly has a global feel to it. Hockey does not feel that way. Even though it is played across Europe, it still feels very small in most European countries. Yep. So I am excited just to see, a country that you would not expect getting admittance into the IIHF, and hopefully they do a thing.
This is how these things start, right? Like, take a look at Germany, which was not really considered a significant hockey country up until the last handful of years, when players like Draisaitl and JJ Peterka have helped raise that country up. It starts by getting into the IIHF in the first place. We've seen similar things on the women's side with the Japanese team that has gone from the bottom to now they're still not really competing with the true top teams, but they're in that top tier of women's international hockey.
Yeah, it's a competitive program.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Exactly. The more of those, the better, right?
Yep.
So,
always a
good thing.
thing.
Oh, Eric's muted.
It was my heartwarming moment of the day.
All right, what were you saying, E?
You were talking about Germany. I was like, Uwe Krupp.
Yeah,
Stanley
true.
Cup '96 and Marco Sturm and all those guys paved the way for the the German team. Now you're seeing more and more Germans around the National Hockey League, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that's how it starts.
Yep, got to start locally to get a chance to put yourself in the NHL with players. Anyway, on to the main news topic of today, at least, which is the Avs officially announcing their broadcast plan for this season, which includes Altitude Plus, which is a new direct-to-consumer streaming service. It also includes 20 games that are going to be broadcast on Channel 9 News, or depending on where you live, Channel 20, my TV. Oh, Eric, your mic is doing something terrible. Okay. Well, you might want to re-plug in your headphones or something while we have you muted. While he sorts that out, though, 20 games broadcast on over-the-air television, not nationally, but locally available to everyone for free, as well as their normal broadcasting stuff, which they already had, like DirecTV and Fubo. So, getting into this, we are looking at, honestly, I think all of these things are good. I think these are all good steps that Altitude is taking to broadcast the Avalanche and get it available to its wider audience. It's probably about 3 years later than it should have been, but these are all good things.
3 years is a good because they missed both championship runs.
Yep.
So good job, guys. Look, this is what people have wanted, but I'm not going to sit here and give credit when it's taken them 6 years to find a solution.
Yep.
It's a joke. It's a slap in the face to the fans, and I'm not giving them a pat on the back because it took them 6 years to come up with this, which is what we were talking about, what we wanted
Immediately.
right away. Why isn't this possible? And then a bunch of their employees went on Twitter and fought with people for years and aggressively attacked people that said, why isn't this possible? And instead of giving us any kind of meaningful answer, it was, oh, it just isn't possible. It just isn't possible. Well, it turns out it's possible if you actually wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not giving them a pat on the back. I'm very thankful for all the fans that are out there that are going to be able to watch these games. That is great. I'm genuinely happy for them. But no, I'm not. No credit. It took you 6 years to come up with a basic ass solution. No credit. Get out my face.
Go ahead, E.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, you're good.
Good. All right. Here's my take, for chat. Like, I am the resident technologically responsible guy here. Therefore, no, I got to be honest with you. I really don't know what that means. I'm glad that you put up that screen there, and I'm seeing people are asking, can I see it in Kansas? And my take on this is you're going to get those 20 games on Channel 9, correct? Great,
Yeah.
awesome. And then Altitude Plus will give you, I thought it was only if you lived in Colorado, but I don't know.
Altitude Plus is the entire altitude broadcast region. So that's the 9 states, including Colorado, Utah, Kansas, Nebraska, Idaho, Wyoming, and I think Nevada.
Okay. And then, but I can't get it on my TV though. It's only on my device, correct?
I mean,
it doesn't sound like there is an app quite yet. Like there's a Disney Plus app, like there's a Hulu app. It doesn't sound like there is an app quite yet.
At some point, it will be very likely an app available on your TV the same way a Fubo would be available or Netflix.
But if I have Fubo, nothing changes, correct? And that's why, can you see AJ's face, his hand on his face? Well, that's what it is. But those are the questions that everybody have, you know what I mean? Like it's all great and all, like you said, AJ, I agree with you, but it's like, what does this mean? Can you really, whatever. I mean, who knows? We'll see once it starts going, and I guess
you weren't even able to sign up for it today.
Yeah, you can't. You still.
I looked at it. I looked at it on the website, and it was just coming soon. It was big where the button would be is big coming soon banner. It's a joke, dude. The announcement is cool. I hope that it gets going, and I know that I am raining on everybody's parade here, but no, you don't get credit for this. This is absurd.
This is the way I would put it. Again, I think it's a good thing that we finally got here. But as you said, it's not ready yet. It's saying coming soon. They're announcing this with 2 weeks to the start of the season. This feels like they saw Utah come out with their streaming service.
They saw Dallas.
They saw Dallas come out with their streaming service. Vegas did it last year. Anaheim has one now too. This feels like they got to September 5th, went, oh no, everyone else is doing this. We have to do it too now. And for what it's worth, Utah's available for $15 a month. That includes the Jazz.
Well, and their tiered system is awesome because the top one it's like $160
for the entire
a year.
season.
Yeah. And it includes 50% off of gear in the team store. It
The
includes
first time.
right, and it includes 2 tickets to a game.
Yep.
You can see both of the team. Like it's got HD. It's got the DVR feature on it, so you can record things. You go fast forward, pause, rewind. You know, all that stuff we've become accustomed to. We have none of those details.
All we know is it's $20 a month. That's
exactly
the only thing we know.
We have none of those details.
Yep.
So it is at this point, I'm like, this is literally the bare minimum. The announcement is even the bare minimum of the bare minimum. It is the bottom rung of expectation. And it's $20 a month, which personally, I don't have a big problem with the price. But when you compare it to the other services,
it's the most expensive one.
It's the most expensive one, and you don't even know what all you're getting.
Yeah. Look,
I'm happy for the people that are going to be able to see games who haven't previously been able to, and that is where I want to stop.
This is what I want to say on it too. Is look, at $20 a month, personally, I will absolutely be paying it for it. Even with the problems that I have with how we got here, it's a legal way to watch these without any hoops to jump through. I'm going to be buying it, and I will be watching Avs games with it.
Yep.
The other thing that I think is good here is I do like that they put 20 games on Channel 9. This makes it a lot easier for the technological geniuses like Eric to at least some of the games. You can just turn on your TV. Game's right there. You can watch it. You don't have to know how to turn on an app on your smart TV or whatever it is for some of the fans that just don't know or don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But as has already been stated, the hype around it is significantly less because of how late it is.
And how bare bones it is at the moment.
Yep.
It's not fleshed out in any kind of a meaningful way to me. This is literally the absolute bottom rung of expectation.
Yep. And this part
so far.
This part not their fault, but keep in mind, even with Altitude Plus, that will not cover national games. So you'll still need a way to watch games on ESPN. You'll still need a way to watch games on TNT or HBO Max, however you want to get it. Is it better? Yes. Has it solved the problem of it's hard to find hockey games? No.
You're still putting in maximum effort here to try and track down where the game is on any given night.
Yeah.
What about the national? Are they gonna be blacked out? Like, remember last year a couple times it was blacked out, and we're like, what the hell is going on?
There are a couple of games where they share rights with national games. Unclear on what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see.
All right. We shall see.
Yeah. I don't know.
6 years of being screamed at by their employees online.
I hear you. Just to do the thing that we asked for in the first place.
Yeah. Don't stand on top of a tiny hill and act like you climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah.
It feels like that meme with the guy, that's celebrating. He's got the medal around his neck, and then you zoom out and he's in third place.
Yeah, it really does feel like that for sure.
I didn't realize this bothered me that much until we started talking about it.
Kind of popped off on it.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it much. I looked at the announcement and I went, oh, cool. And then we sat down and you brought it up, and all of the rage kind of just poured out. My bad. I'm sorry. That wasn't what I intended to happen.
It is what it is. I think a lot of people feel the same way based on our chat. So fair is fair. The other side of this, still not available on Comcast. Most likely won't be available on Comcast for the foreseeable future, which is the largest TV provider in the Denver metro area.
But hey, 1/4 of their games is available on local television.
It's better than zero.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It could be worse. Again, I do think this is a good thing in the long run, assuming they stick with it and develop it into what it should be. It's just very late, and
it has all the potential to be what it should have been all along, and I hope that it gets there. I hope that the fans just deserve that.
Agreed. Fully. Should be that easy to watch the sports that you want to watch when it comes to Avs and Nuggets, for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough. Anyway.
I'm so tired of talking about carrier disputes.
Yeah, that's the life out here.
Yeah.
RSN's down bad. is what it is. We can move on for now, get into some of the practice conversations from today. But before we do, we are brought to you by the folks over at Empire Today. Look, if you want to build up anything, you need a good floor to be the base of it. So get with Empire Today. Make sure you get your floors looking good, whatever you might need, whether it be hardwood, tile, carpet. Empire Today has you covered, and you can get $350 off your order at empiretoday.com/DNVR. You can also go in and get in with them online to see what it looks like. They can project floors into rooms. If you want to measure out your space, they can show you what it looks like. They only carry the highest quality products over with Empire Today, so you don't have to rummage through all of these not so great products. Of course, they also have professional installers and all of the good stuff you would expect from a high-end flooring company. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. As I said, all listeners can get $350 off when they go to empiretoday.com/DNVR for details, or of course, call 1-800-588-2300-EMPIRE. Yep. Empire Today, baby. I can't do the whole jingle, but I'll do a little bit of it. All right. I got your back on that front. And then we've got an old friend back in the circle, as it were, the inner circle, perhaps, with Circle K. Go get your Inner Circle rewards today. You can sign up with that QR code on screen or go to circlek.com/inner circle today. You can also get the app, super easy to download and use. When you sign up right now, Circle K will give you 25 cents off per gallon on your next 5 fill-ups of gas. So that's a great deal right there. And you can find a bunch of other in-app deals too, ranging from all sorts of snacks to drinks to more. And when you download that Circle K app and you sign up for Inner Circle for exclusive offers, you'll get new offers, you get the purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly. Go check them out today.
I'm getting ready to drive back home, cross country.
A couple Circle K stops on the way.
They're going to be some peach rings are coming with me.
There you go.
Some Circle K peach rings. Those things are so good, man.
I saw some jerky downstairs. I was like, might have to snag a bag of that. Yeah.
So tasty.
It's back.
Eric's got to be careful with the jerky with his UC Health travels.
Can't do it.
A little too salty, probably.
Yeah, it's a lot of sodium, man. It's a lot of sodium.
All right, second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. A couple of topics we want to get into on the Avs organizationally for their players and lineups, as well as the practice stuff today. So we did have Gizmo out at practice today, who talked to us a little bit about what went down. So let's hear from Gizmo right now.
All right, so the first group on Thursday's day of training camp from Family Sports Center in the books, and the first group was actually group number 2, not the group that's most likely traveling to Dallas for the game tomorrow. And it was what you would expect. There was a lot of work on 5-on-5. We saw extensive work on the power play, which was different than yesterday. Yesterday's focus was mainly on conditioning and refining some systems, and then, of course, finishing off with that conditioning. But today, it was fine-tuning things on the power play. A little bit of a shorter practice in the morning, but guys getting some looks. Most notably in that first group, we saw Cal Ritchie moved into that wing spot, which is something they're going to try him out on. Now, Cal spent a ton of time at the end of practice staying on the ice well after everybody else, just working on picking up pucks around the boards and a focus on not getting burned by defensemen. Cal had a lot to say about it, and the wing position is not something that he's played a lot of in his career. He's a normal and natural center, so it'll be a little bit of an adjustment for him, but for a young man with a hockey IQ as his, I really don't think it's going to be much of an issue, but it will be interesting to see how Cal Ritchie does on the wing. He's been leaning on a lot of guys in this locker room, too, for help on that. So the focus from that first group on this Thursday from the Family Sports Center was definitely Ritchie getting some reps on the wing and seeing how comfortable he is in that position. I think it's a credit to him for his ability to want to adapt to whatever the team needs him to do. It just shows his commitment to wanting to be part of this.
So Cal Ritchie potentially moving to the wing as an option for the Avs. It's funny how quickly this developed across training camp. We're going into it, we were like, hey, look, there really should be a battle at this center position as well as on the wings. And then Pierre-Edouard Bellemare showed up, and the 4C spot was done and dusted almost immediately.
Yeah, I wrote this in my piece the other day on Studs and Duds, but this was arguably the best camp PTO performance we've seen
in a long
since Jack
time.
Skilly.
Yeah.
And that obviously was different. Like, that guy was like
the Avs were a different team then, too.
Yeah. And kind of set the tone for the types of players they would be bringing in those spots. But what a performance it was from Belmar to just lock it down and then be like, okay, well, we have this really hyped first round pick that had a wonderful year last year, and we've spent all summer building up. We're trying to find a spot for him, and then,
might be on the wing now.
All right, our center spots are spoken for. What do we do?
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see how fast, as you mentioned, it changed from this is a fun center battle, and maybe we move Ross Colton over to a wing, and then it's like,
no center spot for you.
Yep, wing or the OHL.
Oh, yeah. Make up your mind. Eric, you've been very vocal this training camp about players coming in and having the mindset of, I'll do whatever the coach tells me to do. Wing, goaltender, whatever. Doesn't matter. And that's great. I think you're correct. The players need to have that mindset. But I do think that hand waves a little bit the difficulty of swapping a position like that. Ritchie, who's a true center, he's played center his entire career. Realistically, how easy is it for him to adjust to a wing spot like that at an NHL caliber level?
Very easy, and that's why I say, and I've been saying it, I'll keep saying it the next couple of weeks. The Avalanche have some holes that we all know that. Again, we don't need to go back to the Gabe and Val. We all know there's holes, right? Lecky, who knows that's going to be, how long that's going to be. What are the options? You have to look and say, what are the options here? Like on the top six, what are the options internally? There's not that many. And B, what are the young guys that are available to maybe fill in that spot? There's only one guy. It's Cal Ritchie. I mean, there's no other guys. I mean, that is it on the prospect side of things. A little different on the Avalanche side of things compared to, let's say, Montreal, where Montreal, you would have about 5 or 6 Cal Ritchies, right? Because they're struggling in the standings. They've accumulated some draft capital. They've made some good drafts, and there's a lot of young, up-and-coming, potentially good quality wingers or centers in the National Hockey League. Here with the Avalanche, with their run from 2 years ago, they've been depleted a little bit on prospects. And we all know that last year they kind of added it, and they ended up on the goalie side of things for all the reasons. And, we don't need to go back. That was the right choice. Now, what are your options? I go back to Ryan O'Reilly back then during our rebuild. Like, what are the options? And O'Reilly kept coming back and kept coming back. For me, Cal Ritchie, he keeps coming back in my head, sorry. So is it at center? You might see him at center 3 practices from now. I think it's all for experimenting, looking at different things. And when you have an asset that has skills and that has an IQ to play with some, I'm not going to be bashful towards the bottom 6, but on the top 6, you got to be a little more creative with the puck. You got to be able to have those hands to make plays. And on the bottom 6, Cal Ritchie to be a 4th line center, to go win the Stanley Cup. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, healthy as he is, it's probably a better choice. Right? And it's not the right thing for Cal to play 7-8 minutes. And who knows if he can win a draw? Like, we haven't seen it. We don't know. Right? You know what I mean? And those important faceoffs. So I love that he's on the wing today. I love that, go play left, go play right. Now, if it was the opposite, and listen to what I'm going to say. If it was the opposite, if he's a winger by nature, and then you're asking him to play center, oh boy, that's a totally different ball game. It is a totally different ball game to go and do that at the National Hockey League level. There is no babysitting along the way. Coaches don't have time for that. At the end of the day, you're asking them to go play wing. Listen, it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. Actually, it's way more simple than being a centerman in the National Hockey League. So I don't mind that aspect. Now, is he gonna have to figure it out for a couple of games here and there and try to do, get your brain going on the right direction on different things and internally, like in your own end. And at the end of the day, on the offensive zone, you got the puck. You got to be creative and go do some stuff. It doesn't change anything. It's mostly on your obviously assignments and on face-offs, whether the center ice face-off or defensive zone face-off. So other than that, it's not that complicated. If it was the other way around, I'd be telling you guys, wow, this is a daunting task. I don't see it being a daunting task. I think it's great. And like I said, and like you just said 2 minutes ago, they want you to be the backup goalie. You say, where do I go? Where do I put the skates? And it's the National Hockey League, man. You don't think, you don't do math. You go out there and you say, where do I go? Where do I go to help this team? I don't want to go back to juniors. And I think you'll see. And again, we've been saying this. This is not just me. I think we're going to see him for a while here. I don't think he's going home very soon, and we'll see what happens. And only time will tell how he reacts to those experiments. And I don't think this is the last experiment we'll see with Cal Ritchie.
Can we get a quote graphic of that? Man with 500 NHL games says it's not that hard to play wing in the NHL.
It's not, but it's not, honestly. Like, the toughest thing to do in the NHL is to be a defenseman. And that's why it's rare guys coming in like the Sean Barons. You got to go out there, get your brain going on those reads and get going. And it's hard. The second, the second hardest position, forget about goalie. They're in the mind of, they're on their own. They take the longest. But after that, it's for sure D and then center. The center position is tough, especially with the Avalanche. You have to know what's going on with those Ds and the reads and all that kind of stuff. We all know it's not that easy to play that system. Effective once you get it. But to be wing, it's the easiest thing to do. Now, I think that any one of those positions are hard. You just said it. It's the National Hockey League, so it is hard. But the easiest thing to grasp and the easiest thing to do and to play is actually, the wing position. And I think with Cal Ritchie, you can isolate him there and protect him a little bit from those costly mistakes and let him get some confidence.
It's those two things for me with Ritchie, absolutely. The two things about it are if he doesn't have to play center, less defensive responsibility on a guy who, let's be honest, we don't know what he looks like in a real NHL game yet. Mm-hmm. And number two there, less pressure on him to drive play as an individual.
Yeah.
So there are different skills, obviously. When you're looking at someone playing the wing, he's going to need to work better on along the boards, things like that. But on the whole,
that's where his added size and strength over the summer comes into play. More importantly,
that's right.
How's he going to hold up all that board work? Blah 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 blah. But he's got the natural size to do it. It's just a matter of is he strong enough?
Can he dig in
and not just is he strong enough for a game, but can he hold up over the course of a season? It's a long season.
It is. 82 games is a lot of games. Giz did catch up with Cal Ritchie at practice today, so let's hear what Ritchie had to say about this potential move to the wing.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Cal, I love the extra work out there. Obviously, it's a commitment from you to just kind of show where you want to be, but what's the focus right now? What are you kind of working on? What do you take the extra time at the end of practice to really dial in on?
Yeah, I'm on a line on the wing now, and I haven't got much practice at that. So I think after practice there, I was working on some rim pickups, some decent stuff, getting pucks out, and then pressuring the D. A lot of defense can make you look silly in this league, so obviously you got to be good at defending that and be able to close quick and not watch get puck watching. So I was practicing that.
Question there too. Obviously, your natural center. You've played the wing before in your career. Obviously, will you be on the right side or will you play off wing? Do you think?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I haven't really played wing much ever, really in my career. I've only played really right wing when I have, but it's an adjustment. It's not too hard. I mean, when you're third guy entering the D zone anyways as a forward, you're playing wing, so it's not too big of a difference.
What is it going to be like playing in that wing spot? You mentioned you haven't necessarily done it a ton. You're a very talented hockey player, so I'm sure you'll figure it out quick. But what does that mean for you in this terms of the organization asking you to maybe step into that role?
Yeah, obviously you just try to fill whatever role they want you to play, and just try to learn things along the way. I'm talking to some other wingers and learning how to close quicker on defenseman, getting pucks out and stuff like that. So just trying to learn as much as I can.
We saw Belly working with you a little bit in terms of face-off, spending some extra time with you there, so you have that mentor on the center side. Who have you sort of leaned on in this group here for some advice on the wing?
Yeah, I was talking to him again at Belmar about just closing on D, how to make sure you don't get walked. Especially if you're just going up against McCarr in practice, you're trying to close quickly and not get puck watching. So he's giving me some advice on that stuff. He's been great. He's been helping me out a ton, and then also Cogs has been great. So they're both veteran guys. Obviously, played in the league for a long time. You can learn so much from them.
You look super comfortable amongst the group and on the ice, and I've kind of watched your evolution from the time we got here to where you're at now. Do you attribute a lot of that to having maybe a little bit of that experience this summer up in Vail, and then just the makeup and the culture of this room that have kind of got their arms around you and brought you into the family quick?
Yeah, for sure. The guys are great guys. They're super nice, and I think in Vail it was an awesome experience for me. I was around some of the best players in the league, so I kind of took that aspect out of it where these are guys I looked up to my whole life and stuff, and to being on the ice with them and being one of them. So, it's pretty cool.
The contacts in the phone got bolstered a little bit with some big names, huh?
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool. It was unbelievable.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
You think Ritchie's going to make the Bet365 first goal scorer list this year, or are they going to be sneaky about it?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what you're saying yes to. So
You asked me a yes or no question. Is he going to make the...
there was an or in there.
No, I was skipping that part.
Okay.
The second half of the question was irrelevant to my interests.
Okay. All right. Well, whether Ritchie's on there or not, you'll be able to bet on Avs games. You can probably even bet on their preseason games, actually. I didn't even look for the first one, but there's one tomorrow. I bet you can bet on it. So get with Bet365 today. Use the DNVR365 code when you sign up. Put $10 in, bet $5 on anything. You'll get $200 in bonus bets. Or if you're a big spender, if you like to go with the big bets, you can get a $1,000 first bet safety net. So you can throw up to $1,000 on a bet, and if you miss, you get that back and you can try again. Go get it with Bet365. Whatever it is you're betting on. Nuggets, Avs, Rockies, you can still bet on to lose for a couple more days. Broncos won a game. Bo Nix looked okay. I don't know. Whatever it is you want to bet on, do it with Bet365.
The Buffs are playing a hurricane this weekend?
Yeah, an actual hurricane. Can they beat Mother Nature? Yeah. Go bet with them. Of course, use the DNVR365 code. When you do bet with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. And once you've got your bets in, maybe you want to go see a game. Do you know what time it is?
Game time.
It is game time. You can join Game Time today, and over 15 million people that get their tickets through Game Time. When you sign up with code DNVR, you'll get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Tons of different tickets to get with Game Time. Not even just sports. If you're a sports person, but you also like concerts, you like the theater, Game Time has you covered with those tickets. Whatever tickets you might need, Game Time guarantees you the best price out there, to the point where if you find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they'll reimburse your account 110% of the price. Game Time also makes it super easy to find the events you want with their new feature called Game Time Picks. That makes the tickets that are your favorites readily available and in front of you when you use their app. It filters out all of the fluff to show you the best deals and the best tickets at whatever event you might be going to. So get with Game Time today. Again, be sure to use that DNVR code to get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Is linked down in the description to download the app today. Course terms and conditions apply. What time is it? Game time. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. And when you look at someone like Ritchie, it's interesting to me to see how he's going to fit in this lineup. Eric, you were talking about it. Hey, it probably doesn't make a ton of sense to play him as a fourth line player where he's not playing a ton. Just send him back to juniors and let him dominate that league at that point. But when you look at him in a middle six or potentially second line wing role, what is the expectation of Cal Ritchie and how he's going to have to play? Because you look in the middle of that second line, it's going to be Casey Middlestat, who we'll get to in a minute. Definitely more of a distributor than a goal scorer. And you look on that other side of the wing, is it going to be Nikolai Kovalenko? Or are they going to promote someone like a Logan O'Connor to that line? Maybe it's somebody else. Eventually, that spot probably becomes Arturi Lekkonen's.
The two players you just mentioned are both right wings.
Yeah,
which is where Ritchie would play.
Right.
That's they went from being who's going to play on that right wing to all right. Well, all the candidates to play on this second line are all right wings.
So who can play left?
So which guy is going to play on their offside? And Kovalenko's he's left-handed. He's already playing on his off wing. It's where he's played in his entire Russian career.
Yeah.
So
the typical Euro Russian thing where they play on their offside.
Right.
But
and so I do think it becomes an interesting, kind of pile up of what do you do here? And if Arturi Lekkonen's ready for game one, great.
He's on that spot for
Problem
sure.
is solved. If it's not very long, if it's 2 or 3 games, it almost doesn't even matter.
I don't disagree.
So it's really dependent on Lecky here.
Well, Ragnar's talking my language here. I've been saying this all year long. All summer long. Listen, with all the unknown at the start, we all know McKinnon, Drouin, Mac. That works. It's glorifying. It's beautiful. It's God. I'm going to steal AJ's words. It's Picasso-ish, right? It's beautiful.
I've never said anything was Picasso-ish.
True.
No, what is it? You call Drouin? Same
Shakespeare.
Thing. Shakespeare, same thing. Whoops, even though, look, it's moving. Shakespeare's mad at me for coming up with the wrong answer.
It's
But
the ghost of Shakespeare.
Which one?
but it is like the Louvre or something, whatever you want to call that. It's beautiful. With that said, I don't mind. For me, I would put Miko with Casey, and is it Cal Ritchie on that side? I don't know. And I think if you surround Ritchie with the intelligent players, high IQ players, adults, whatever you want to call it, they got to be veteran players, and you surround them the right way, then you might have something, for the time being. Who knows? We don't know how he's going to adapt. You have to see it to believe it. You have to throw him in the fire. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can always go back to, 29, 27, and 96. We all know that's beautiful. We all know that works. I'm not worried about that. But do you go with, like Ragnar's saying, you know what I mean? Like, I love it. I would just split those guys up and surround a guy that's got hands, that's got size, that's got a good IQ, that can move the puck, that can shoot a puck. Again, is he strong enough? I don't know. But when you're playing with a Middlestad that's such a smart player and a big moose with like Miko, how do you not fit? I mean, time will tell. Time would tell if he's sticking out like a sore thumb. But I would try it. You know what I mean? I would try it because that's, for me, he's got to be surrounded. He, meaning Cal Ritchie, got to be surrounded with veteran players. Kind of like we said it all the time. Wyatt Johnson in Dallas. His first year or so with the Bens and guys like that, to make sure that you're a little bit hidden, you're a little bit camouflaged, and you know what I mean, and you got guys that have been around there to help you, whether it's on the bench or whether it's at the face-off circle. I mean, like, you're not going to take a face-off, but hey, this is your assignment. You got to be vocal out there, and leaders usually are. And adults usually are. They dictate the traffic on the ice, and they're loud out there. And it's not just about give me the puck in the slot so I can shoot. It's the 200-foot space of the rink that's important. So I think if you surround them well, again, who else is out there? We all know they're not going to make a trade. And if they are, then awesome. I just don't know how you can right now. With all those things.
The point
I
you're
just think
making,
that it's a guy you got to look at.
The point you're making is a situation we've seen Jared Bednar in a lot in his career. And when there's lineup turbulence, what he does is he puts Mac and Miko together and tells them to go win games by themselves.
Yeah, he says, look, this is the thing that I am most comfortable with. I know when I put these three guys together, I have a true number one line, and I'm going to give myself the best opportunity to win tonight. I'm not going to get cute with it by trying to put Rantanen with Middlestad and put the 19-year-old up on the top line next to our MVP. It's you can understand where a coach is coming from doing that. It's
100%.
It's like a security blanket, except way better.
Yeah,
absolutely, and I get it. That's why I say I get it. I get
it. Egyptian cotton blanket or something.
Yeah. Is it?
I mean, it's the coziest blanket ever.
Yeah, higher thread count.
All right, so 2,000 thread count. Yeah,
and more.
It's a
gazillion thread counts.
At what point are you just sleeping in Jello? Like,
I mean,
have you ever slept?
It's a gazillion thread counts.
Never slept in Jello.
Me neither. I don't know what situation would call for such a thing.
I don't want to know. Probably.
Isn't that kind of like a waterbed?
It does. It seems like it would be.
It's pretty waterbed adjacent, right? Sleeping in Jello.
Yeah, I assume it would feel similar-ish.
All right.
I don't know. And the other side of this, though, is Cujo puts in the chat. Would Jared Bednar not have an aneurysm if on his second line his winger's total NHL game count is 2?
Yeah. Yeah, putting Ritchie and Kovalenko in your top 6, I think, is asking too much. The hard part here is that these guys have all been, if you're going to move them to a wing, they're all right wings.
Yeah.
Logan O'Connor, right wing. Mikko Rantanen's been a right wing his entire NHL career. None of these, Nikolai Kovalenko's entire KHL career, right wing. Cal Ritchie has played center, so he doesn't even play a wing. But if you're going to move him, naturally you're going to move him to right wing.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just being inflexible here. That's always a possibility. I also think that the Kovalenko hype is probably more fan-driven and less something that the coaching staff is interested in. But what's the difference? But left wing, where do you... Well, Arturi Lehkonen is gone. That seems to be the sticking point here. Which is why we had the conversation of Cal Ritchie is your third line center. Ross Colton becomes your second line wing. It's the smartest allocation of those, but that third line is the other line that he just is not messing with.
That's his real safety blanket.
Yeah.
You have the Jello blanket and then the actual safety blanket.
Jello blanket.
But the other side of this that I wanted to get into, and while I believe Ritchie probably always had the inside track to this position, whatever it might have ended up being, you're through one preseason game, and someone like an Oscar Olausson or a Jean-Luc Foudy hasn't gone out and taken that spot. A guy that the Avs going into this year were probably expecting to play wing. You felt like maybe if they showed well, there was some opportunity for them with that second line spot.
Yeah.
After one preseason game, like they're not at the top of the list. I'll put it to you.
The guy that you want is Oscar Olausson, who again has spent a lot of his time at right wing, as has Jean-Luc Foudy. But you don't really have a good option there while you wait for Artturi Lehkonen's return.
Yeah, agreed.
And this is why it's going to be Kivi Ronta or Parker Kelly, and we're all going to be mad about it.
Why are they trying Parker Kelly at center then?
Well, we were talking about how much easier it is to transition from center to wing. Well, they're trying to do the same thing that they did with Yakov Trenin with Parker Kelly, of making a lifetime wing into a center.
Way, as Eric said, way harder.
Yeah, and you're doing it when you have a pretty good amount of confidence that your fourth line center job is won already.
Yeah,
we're kind of in.
We're going a million directions at once.
Yeah, I kind of want to just get back to Cal Ritchie in particular for just a quick second, because the 9-game trial, I think, is one of the more important 9-game trials we've seen in recent Avalanche history.
I agree. Maybe most important since like Mikko.
I mean, really, since like Kaut. Because remember, they stopped.
Yeah, that's fair.
They ruined all of his momentum because they
refused to burn it.
Yeah, they weren't going to move his contract anyway. I think with Ritchie, you give him the 9 games. Your fear is that you get healthy, and then where is he in your lineup?
Yeah.
Is he your fourth line center? Probably not. Over Belmar? Probably not. Is he your fourth line right wing? Probably not, right? Like, it's very unlikely. So where does he fit in the lineup if you want to keep him for the year? But then, of course, you get one injury, or Landeskog, Nichushkin, these guys don't come back. Then that becomes a spot that you're trading for at the deadline because you sent that guy to juniors. What do you do? It seems like the only way that you can make the right choice is to know the future. No matter what they decide to do, they are rolling the dice on something that would feel preventable if they'd made the other choice.
I'll tell you what I would do. And look, if he plays his 9 games, doesn't look good, that makes the decision easy. But if he plays those 9 games and does look good, Jared Bednar's not going to like it. But you have to sit down and you have to say, look, I get you love this third line.
Yeah.
But Miles Wood's got to drop down a line so Cal Ritchie can play middle 6 minutes.
Well, and the love of that third line together also means Miles Wood is not the guy that's getting put up next to Casey Middlestat.
True.
Who you could envision, hey, just go skate really
Be a
fast.
Wrecking ball up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, just go simplify. In the same conversation that we have with Logan O'Connor, go simplify the game, do what you do, skate really fast, and cause a little bit of havoc, and let the skill guys around you do work. It's such an interesting, like, temporary problem that they have while they wait for the update on Artturi Lehkonen, and in 6 weeks,
the
this
rest
could be
of the
nothing.
wingers,
Right? Like 6 weeks. It's 2 months from today. This could be a totally you could have Lehkonen, Landeskog, and Nichushkin all back in your lineup.
One of them's on your third line.
And yeah, exactly. And then Miles Wood's on your fourth line, and you're just like, what is going on? What is this now? Now you're exceptional.
Parker Kelly's your 14th forward all of a sudden. Yeah.
Right. It's just for me, I find it an interesting conversation because Cal Ritchie is such an important part of the future, and he looks really good at times, but he may not look quite good enough to take a top 6 job on a Stanley Cup contender good.
And that's the reality of this situation is they want to give Ritchie the opportunity.
Yeah.
You can tell they want to give it to him, the way they're using him in camp, the way they're using him in preseason games. As Eric always says, it's up to the player now.
And I'll tell you what I want to see. I think I saw, you got to remember, he was on the kid line last game, Ritchie, but then you saw it in the third period, got a little bit more puck touches and, obviously made some plays on the power play. And we all know that, obviously McKinnon's spot on the power play. He's not going to have that. But I tell you one thing, as the game went along, that's why I want to see him with adults. I want to see him with NHL players. No offense to Foodie and Olofsson. But when it comes down to making, make them make decisions and stuff, we all know there's a little bit of room here. We all know that there's jobs to take. And I'll tell you one thing. If I can touch on Kovalenko for a second. I sat there, as you know, I was watching with you guys, and I'm not saying he had a bad game. I'm saying, but if you want it, you got to show it. For me, here's what I took out of that first game. And I think Coach said it in his presser too. Who popped at me? If I'm sitting there and I'm watching that game, TJ Tynan, Matthew Phillips are the guys that popped at me. And we all know that. I love it. I know AJ and Rudo, you guys love those guys. I love those guys, but those guys will pitch an inning or two here. That's about it. They're not, no offense to them. They're such awesome American League players. It's great to have those young guys down there in Loveland with guys like that. I don't think they're full-time solutions, but I'll tell you one thing. I'll raise my hat to them. I raise my hat to them because they're the ones that popped at me, and Andrei Kovalenko didn't. Or Oscar Olofsson didn't. I mean, for me, that's me. That's just me. That's just me talking, not the coaching staff.
That's the difference, right? When you're asking a guy to play 6 minutes for 5 games for you, yeah, you can throw one of those dudes in there. Or really, we'd rather see Jason Poland, but that's a different conversation that we won't get to.
No, or Poland. I like Poland.
But those are the guys that fill in less opportunity roles as opposed to someone like Ritchie who you feel like you'd be wasting in a role like that.
Yes.
So,
well,
it is what it is. There is a couple other things I want to get to, but we're going to take a quick pause here before we get into our final period. All right, we do not have a ton of time here, so I do want to change directions a little bit here because all of this chaos at the wing that we've been talking about, the player it might affect the most is the guy in the middle on that second line in Casey Middlestat. Giz also talked to Middlestat at practice today, so let's see how Casey is adapting to random wingers.
Good? Yeah. Okay. Casey, obviously, the point in training camp, you're getting a lot of different looks in terms of partners and flow. What's that like? Is it pretty easy to get used to new guys? I mean, it's expected at this point in the year.
Yeah. Just going with the flow. Obviously, you got some injuries, so just going with the flow. And I've had fun. I think it's good to get to know a lot of guys and play with them. I think you get to know them pretty quickly. So it's been great for me, and just keep moving.
The flow of training camp has changed a little bit. Yesterday, it was a little bit of conditioning, a lot of battle drills. Today, it turns into some more 5-on-5 play and just flow, and then obviously special teams. Just take me through the point of training camp where we're at right now and just what the feel is for the boys.
Yeah, I think obviously still trying to work hard and find yourself in good shape. And with that at the same time, I think we're trying to implement our systems and, get some special team stuff set and going. So, I think we're probably a little bit right in the middle of the balance of each. So I think the boys are feeling good, though, and, it's been fun so far.
These training camps seem to get a little bit long at this point. Are you at that point where it's like, okay, let's play some actual games now, or is it still, okay, I'm still getting my feet underneath me, getting back into that groove of what a season feels like?
I think I'd probably be lying if I said, we don't want to play some games. So we're on our way, though, and take it a day at a time. I think, there's a plan in place, and we trust the staff and what their idea and what their plan is. So, I think everyone's feeling good, and I think the practices have gotten better each day. So just keep going, and, I think we're going to be excited when it comes time.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
So let me ask you guys, certainly for the start of the season, again, this coming back to the Lehkonen healthy question mark.
Yeah.
When Lecky is not healthy for game one, for however long it takes, how much pressure is on Casey Middlestat? Because we're talking about him. Maybe he's playing with Cal Ritchie. Maybe he's playing with Kovalenko. Even if you're moving someone like Mikko down to that line, two dudes you don't really know what their defensive prowess is, and Mikko, is actively bad in the defensive zone.
Yeah, I mean, apathetic for sure.
So does Casey have to, I don't want to say turn himself into this because he was pretty decent defensively last year in Colorado too, but how much pressure is on him to be that two-way guy behind McKinnon?
I think there's a decent amount of pressure for him to drive his line more than anything else. They've got Belmar and they've got Colton they've
Can
got
take D zone shifts. Sure.
Exactly. Those are the lines that they're saying, hey, we really want to trust these two lines in our own zone. So I don't know that it's so much the two-way thing as it is Casey's going to have to really drive his own line.
Fair enough.
In a way that he hasn't really had too much in his career. And as a second C, it's going to be more pressure early than late,
right?
Because he's going to get the reinforcements should be there at some point. But for now, it's definitely going to be a lot of pressure. And if Mikko's there, you have to produce.
Yeah.
Like you have to be dangerous on a consistent basis.
The best defense is having the puck, I guess. So
yeah.
And I love your point. And I do believe he's a driver. I do. And he's smart in all three zones. And I think he's at that stage, especially these first 40 games. It's like, big fella, let's talk. You're going to get a gazillion wingers right now. And it is what it is. And I tell you what, the best advice I would give you, make people better. Make people better because you are in the perfect spot. We all know he is in the perfect spot. And what do I mean by that? He's behind Nathan McKinnon. So right away, he's isolated. Right away, what I mean by that is he's not playing against top line guys. He's not playing against top Ds. And no matter what, his skill's going to take over. It sounds like he's a very strong 200-foot game that we saw. We saw in the playoffs. We know he can perform in the playoffs. He elevated his game. Only going to get more natural here. And a little bit like his flow. People are talking about his flow there on the chat. Like, it's going to be all over the place a little bit when it comes down to his wingers. It's just going to be all over the place. And, you just got to be ready and you got to make people better. I can tell you Joe Sakic early in his career and those things. And, no offense to guys that he played with, but they weren't the best players in the world, like Scott Youngs and Chris Simon, the late Chris Simon, myself for a bit. At the end of the day, like, you make people around you better. And I think Casey Middlestat can make you better because he's so good and tight. He's so good with the puck and he's so smart. And I think that whoever he ends up playing with, they should have some success. And again, like I said, I don't want to say it's the easiest job in the world because it's not fair to say that, but you're not riding shotgun. McKinnon is. You're just hiding behind them. And stealth-wise, it's kind of nice, you know what I mean? Because you're getting second or third pairings. And I do believe he can be deadly. Like I said, I'll say it again and I'll say it today. I was wrong on him in my 4-5-3 2 years ago, my reports on a guy like that, and really seeing him every day last year after the trade deadline and in the playoffs, it really changed my mind on him. I really enjoy him. I really enjoy watching him in practice. I do believe he's got some magician in him to be able to stick handle like that up tight and with the stick so tight to you, and it's pretty amazing. I'm starting to like this guy more and more, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do because I do believe there'll be a little bit of a revolving door until you figure it out. Just like I said the other day, that third line figured itself out last year early in the season. O'Connor and Wood and Ross Colton, and wasn't planned to be, and all of a sudden it just meshed and it made it that way. So I think that you might see something like that with Casey Middlestat here in the middle, and again, who knows how Lecky's going to be too, right? As we know.
I would put the pressure on more than you guys had, or at least more than you did, Eric. I would say for the Avs to start the season well, Casey Middlestat has to play effective hockey. He has to help them win hockey games. For the first 13 games, that's before the November 13th mark, where you start to learn a little bit more about what the Avs lineup might look like this year. He has to provide both ends of the ice, effective hockey for Colorado to get off to the right start this season. Without that, I don't think the Avs are in trouble or anything, but yeah, those first 10 games might be a little bit of a struggle with. We don't know when Lucky's coming back. Who knows what these rookies and young guys look like on the wings. If Casey Middlestat isn't that stability bringer for them, it could be some tough games to start the year.
Yeah, and it's going to be a real struggle if he gets Parker Kelly or Yoel Kiviranta on that left side, and they're not putting him with a little bit more skill.
Yep. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders.
Yeah, it becomes even tougher sledding for him. Yep. So,
I believe he's going to deliver. I mean, that's my answer in a short version. I do believe he's going to deliver. So if that puts pressure on him because he's listening to the show right now, awesome. Go deliver.
Hope he does. We do have Giz out here at Family Sports still. It's an interesting day for the second half of practice. Giz, what do you got for us?
Thanks, guys. Yeah, quick update from Family Sports Center here on Thursday from Colorado Avalanche training camp. Obviously, the guys getting ready to head to Dallas tomorrow. Session 1 went off awesome this morning. Guys were working on a bunch of different things. We saw a lot of power play, special teams. You obviously heard from them, but bummer, between sessions, the power actually went out at Family Sports, so they had to cancel session number 2, the second and afternoon practice session. And I, for one, am just very disappointed about it. I was really looking forward to spending another few hours inside of the rink. It's not a gorgeous day outside whatsoever, so just really bummed for me that the afternoon practice session was canceled. Was looking forward of bringing some more interviews. And yeah. What's up, bud? Yeah, I'm just doing a thing here.
Tee off. Your tea time here. Let's hit it.
Is it that time now?
It is that time.
What do you know?
2:10.
Well, all right then. Listen, I'm going to leave you guys. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to be the intrepid reporter. I'm going to make sure if that power does come back on at Family Sports Center, I will be here, and I will cover every second of the afternoon session. They did cancel it, but I'm going to hang around anyway. You never know. Sometimes things change. Power could come back on. It's just, this is one of those situations where you never know exactly what's going to happen. And I think it's my job to just make sure that I am here without hesitation, question, qualm. Just make sure that I'm here to do my job for DNVR. I'm not going to go anywhere for at least a few hours. Maybe more if I continue to hit shots like that.
Some days on the job easier than others. Not a beautiful day at all. Oh, must be nice out there.
I loved it. God.
Must be nice.
Sarcasm at its best. I love it.
Just a heads up as we are winding down here. Tomorrow the Avs do play a preseason game in Dallas. We will be having a post game that evening for you. So it will be a normal post game. No pregame, no watch along. But be ready next week. I think it's the Tuesday game we will be doing a watch along for because that one's on TNT. So you'll see my ugly face for the whole game. Should be fun. Lots of cool stuff still coming your way. Of course, we've got tons of stuff. If you haven't read AJ's most recent piece yet on Logan O'Connor, make sure you go read that. We've got the what is it? Behind the scenes, I suppose, of training camp video should be up tomorrow. So make sure you guys go watch that, like and subscribe here on YouTube. Before we do get out of here, though, I want your guys' opinion. And this is I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't give you guys any research time on this. Does Cal Ritchie play 10 games or not?
No.
I'm going to go he plays more than 10.
Yeah, well, do they burn the contract is what I'm asking. Burn the year.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
One yes, one no. I want to say yes, but I've watched the Avs not burn contracts for a decade, so I'm going to say no.
We shall see.
We'll see what happens with
Brian will see.
Contract.
Brian will see.
I mean, the Mika one was weird because Wall wanted to play him at center. It was a whole thing, but didn't even burn his.
Well, and didn't he play like 6 and then he came back later in the season? He played 3, but he was in the AHL. They had that ability.
He dominated the AHL too, but
European player, yeah, different.
He was a co-rookie of the year in the AHL that year.
Well,
with Frank Vetrano.
Maybe soon the NCAA kids will be able to, or the junior kids rather, will be able to play in the NHL. We'll see.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. Also, we are taking over November 15th, the first Avalanche takeover. Make sure you go get with us. You can watch a game with Eric Lacroix. Pretty sure there's going to be a guy with a couple more games than Eric that you'll be able to watch the game with too.
A special guest at that takeover.
A special guest
to be announced, but we think you guys are going to like it.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. So if you want to watch a game with some pretty cool people, take a party bus to the rink and back. Enjoy free beers with DNVR. There's a link down in the description to sign up for your takeover tickets today. Go get with them, and there's also options if you already have tickets. You can get a bus ticket to come with us too. We hope you'll join us for that. We are out of here for today, though. We'll be back tomorrow evening with a post-game show.
We all silly like the mayor.